All right. We're going to go back here. Hello and welcome everyone to Jen, Kress, and Laura watching the Xbox announcement live. So we're doing it on Zoom to make sure we can get the video. And
I am ready to be triggered.
theater mode. All right, here we go, everybody.
Hello and welcome to the official Xbox podcast. I'm your host, Tina Amini, and we have a very special episode today, as you can probably tell by the fact that I'm joined by Phil, Sarah, and Matt. Welcome. And we're going to talk about some updates at Xbox. We want to talk about game exclusivity. We want to talk about Activision Blizzard now that they're part of our portfolio, how that might be an impact on Game Pass. And we want to talk about hardware too and how all of this fits into the strategy at Xbox. So where should we start, Phil?
Well, when we originally had planned for the show, starting back in December, I think we probably would have started with Activision Blizzard, maybe talked a little bit about the exclusivity with some of the news coming up, and then hardware. But we've had some unforeseen news that has come out. So let's just go and tackle the exclusivity question, because I know it's on the minds of a lot of people. We hear from the community, and that's an important input for us. So we made the decision that we're going to take 4 games to the other consoles, just 4 games, not a change to our kind of fundamental exclusive strategy. We're making these decisions for some specific reasons. We make every decision really with the long-term health of Xbox in mind. And long-term health of Xbox means a growing platform, our games performing, building the best platform for creators, reaching as many players as we can. We're always looking to learn as a leadership team and to grow. And we think this is an interesting point in time for us to use what some of the other platforms have right now to help grow our franchises. So we're going to do that.
So these 4 titles, what are they? Can you say?
I'm not going to name those games. The teams that are building those games have announced plans that are not too far away. As we know, game teams put a lot of energy into their announcements with the partners. So I don't want to take anything away from those teams. So I won't be talking.
What the fuck? What's the point of this? How do you go out of the gate like this?
It's 4 games. We're not going to comment on the only... There's only what? Not even 10 games to choose from.
Yeah, dude, they have nothing worthwhile except for 4 games, maybe. Like I can't even think of 4 games that make sense. I mean,
I thought they were leaked already too.
Dude, this is already bullshit.
All right, already.
Right?
All right, yeah.
All right,
yeah.
let's
go.
go.
Here we go.
About the titles specifically, but I think when they come out, it'll make sense.
Can we say if either of those titles are Starfield or Indiana Jones?
They are not Starfield or Indiana Jones.
Well, what was the criteria in how the team was thinking about selecting those 4 titles?
Let me start a little bit outside of that, and then I'll get to the 4 specific games that we're talking about right now. Because the fundamental decision driver for any decision that we make, anything we're going to talk about today, is the long-term health of Xbox. That we're running a growing platform that is reaching more players, that our games are having as much success as possible. And I do have a fundamental belief that over the next 5 or 10 years.
This is why I wanted to do this right here.
No, their strategy has done exactly the opposite. They're not growing. They're losing share. Their games are not being played by as many people as they used to. Like the fact that Starfield and Indiana Jones are not on this list, this is a total double-edged sword for them. They are backed in a corner, right? So like they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't to some degree, because their strategy is not fucking working, right? They need a new strategy. And if they're going to come up with some fucking 4 games that don't matter.
And it's not those 2. Like I thought
those
were the 2.
There are no other games that matter, right?
Yeah, they want to get like a million units of... What else is there coming? With Bethesda?
I had a quick look just sorry, are we not hypothesizing the games that are going out? Because I was Googling to see which ones had been leaked.
Yeah, go tell me.
Do it. Yeah.
So Xbox is Screen Rant. Xbox is rumored to make a shift towards multi-platform games, which may include titles such as Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, and Sea of Thieves for the PS5.
Okay. So yes, sorry, I was forgetting the name of it. Sea of Thieves makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's like an online game. Hi-Fi Rush was rumored to be on Nintendo, which also makes sense because it's a casual game. But this doesn't, again, this does not help. Does not do what he is suggesting it's going to do. It's like, if those are the type of games we're talking about and they're not big, this doesn't help Xbox at all, right?
It's too
And so,
small for it to make an impact.
yeah, it's not material, and it doesn't help promote the brand. So let's continue.
Exclusive games that are exclusive to one piece of hardware, are going to be a smaller and smaller part of the game industry. And that's not some great insight, because if you look at the last 10 years and what the biggest games are today, it's a natural place. Whether it's one console and PC, multiple consoles, mobile console and PC, you see big games landing on multiple platforms. And we want to be a great platform for creators that are trying to realize that potential. But now back to the specifics of the question on these four specific titles. We looked at games that are over a year old, so they've been on Xbox and PC for a while. A couple of the games are community-driven games, new games that kind of first iterations of a franchise that have reached their full potential, I'd say, on Xbox and PC. There's always growth. Franchises that we obviously want to continue to invest in.
Can I just say this sounds like the Netflix strategy?
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, let's take some old stuff and get, like, okay.
Part of
like,
having the ability to continue to.
This is exactly like the Stadia strategy, right? Like, we don't have any new games. Let's just like,
we'll give you some old stuff.
Yeah, put an old
Doesn't
stuff
matter.
Together.
Okay.
Fucking, Sony's gonna go say, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. I don't want anything to do with this.
I don't want your
like,
leftovers.
I don't want I don't want your fucking bullshit that stopped growing and it's like meaningless.
Your 1-year-old lukewarm mold growing on it leftovers.
Full potential, let's say, on Xbox and PC. There's always growth. Franchises that we obviously want to continue to invest in. Part of having the ability to continue to invest is that the businesses behind those franchises continue. We think it's important that these service-based games that have communities behind them, that they can have confidence that they're going to exist in the future. So 2 of them, kind of community-driven games that will end up on other platforms and give us the ability to continue to invest in them. We think that's great for the business and great for the communities, more players to play with. I'd say 2 of the other games are smaller games that were never really meant to be built as kind of platform exclusives and all the fanfare that goes around that. But games that our teams really wanted to go build, that we love supporting creative endeavors across our studios, regardless of size. And as they've realized their full potential on Xbox and PC, we see an opportunity to utilize the other platforms as a place to just drive more business value out of those games, allowing us to invest in maybe future iterations of those, so sequels to those, or just other games like that in our portfolio. And when we don't damage Xbox and we can grow our business using what other platforms have and to help us with that, we're going to do that. And that's really the story behind these 4 games. And last thing I'll say, looking forward, I think there is an interesting story for us of introducing Xbox franchises to players on other platforms to get them more interested in Xbox. We think there's a good brand value for Xbox there. So 4 games, no promise beyond that. So if you're on those other platforms and you see these 4 games coming, please don't take it as some signal that everything's coming. It's not. And we're going to learn.
So when you are thinking about the future and this concept of live service games, games that can benefit from bigger audiences, new audiences, how does that apply to future titles and how you're applying that criteria there?
Yeah, there's really no fundamental change to how we think about exclusivity. We just came out of Developer Direct, which was an awesome show, where we showed great games that are coming to Xbox and PC and cloud, which really makes them accessible to hundreds of millions of people. So it's this kind of, we're really focused on a couple platforms and what's going to show up there. But our key of play the games you want with the people you want, anywhere you want, when everybody plays, we all win. These have been part of our strategy for years and will continue to be. Our focus is on how do we continue to grow the games industry by reaching more players in more places, and how do we grow Xbox as part of that. Xbox is a hardware platform, Xbox is a publisher of great games, and Xbox as a platform for the world's best creators.
And then knowing that, how do we think about our first-party games and Game Pass?
Yeah, well, to build on what Phil just said, one thing I would add, when you were talking about growth, is just that we've sort of seen this inversion over the last 5 years where it used to be that the platform was the biggest thing.
That's right.
And the games would sort of tuck in within the platform. Today, big games like a Roblox or a Fortnite could actually be bigger than any one platform.
Yeah,
and that really has changed the way that we think about things. So in the midst of all that, I think we at First Party can come back to sort of some core principles. First, that all of our games will be on the Xbox platform. Second, all of our games will go into Game Pass on day one. And third, we know that Game Pass will only be available on Xbox. So there's sort of starting points for us. As Phil mentioned, there are games today that you can play that only can be found on Xbox. And at the same time, we want to bring more of our games to more players. So we're going to continue to look at that. Kind of moving aside, though, from some of those and thinking more about what does it really mean for the player, to me, the two key things are cross-play and cross-save.
Right,
those things
Stop for a
allow
second.
us to deliver.
Okay.
What did he just say?
He just
Cross-play,
contradicted
cross-save.
himself.
He did. He's like, we know this, and then we're gonna continue to look at it. Do I need to rewind that? I'm kind of like
No, I mean,
confused.
he basically said that everything will be day and date on Xbox.
Yeah.
And that Xbox Live, well, actually, that's actually a big admission, right? That they're only going to have Xbox, the subscription service on Xbox.
Yeah. Right. Like, so no,
So
that was a rumor that it was going to go
Yeah,
on
right.
Apple too, right? Because of Apple opening up.
Yeah, that makes sense. However, that doesn't really solve their problem of where they're going to find growth if they don't move to other platforms with the Xbox Live service. But I don't know. Maybe we'll keep going. But I just this is the whole thing is much to do about nothing. I guess we'll get to it at the end. But like,
Yeah.
it
Maybe
seems like the
there's-
same strategy. They're just taking a few tchotchke games and putting them on other platforms. And I honestly don't think Sony's going to accept that. I don't think they're going to accept the relationship with Microsoft to put the content on their platform. Why would they? Why would they promote
well, especially
Microsoft content?
if they're small, if they're small, nothing
Yeah.
games, right? He kept
Yeah.
saying small, small, small. So, I mean,
Yeah,
maybe
and if this guy's in charge of First Party, he better fucking clean this shit up and start fucking making games, you know? Like, I don't, anyway.
Right.
All right, continue.
Let me rewind a second. And then...
While you were right,
What does it
quick
really mean
question. So, we're just out of curiosity. So they're putting all new games are going on Game Pass on Xbox. Is that's what they do now, or that's a change?
That was assumed that they would be doing it.
Okay,
That's not a
So
change. I think that's
It's
that's
not a change.
yeah, that's not a change.
For the player, to me, the two key things are cross-play and cross-save. Those things allow us to deliver on the promise of Xbox, which is play with your friends where they are, play on the devices you want, play the games you want. So that is really only possible at a practical level when you know that your saves and your player are going to be able to move across all those parts. So not all of our games today are necessarily built to take advantage of that. There still will be some games that don't. As we bring more teams into the Xbox family, there's some catch up to do as we get there. But that cross-play, cross-save is like so fundamental to what we're doing. And I think is something that we as First Party get such a good benefit from being so close to the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things, like you said, all of our games are always in Game Pass. And so I'm excited to announce, with the coming together that we had with Activision Blizzard King, that Activision and Blizzard games are coming to Game Pass, starting with Diablo 4 on March 28th, which I'm super, super excited to share today. And it's all part of our commitment to make Xbox, the Xbox experience and the games that we build as widely available as possible. So now the 34 million Game Pass members can all enjoy the fantastic experience of Diablo 4.
Anything there? I mean, did we expect this?
I mean, yes, we expected that both Call of Duty and
Yeah.
Diablo would be on the platform. So, yeah, I think, this seems to be much ado about nothing. It's basically going to be Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, Sea of Thieves, and Grounded on PS, maybe on Sony, and maybe on Switch. And I think that's the only thing that's happening right now, as far as I can tell so far. So cool, Diablo's on there.
What was the other game they said? Diablo and something else?
Call of Duty, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Call of Duty is next. Yeah, keep going.
Amazing. Can we come back to the point, Phil, you mentioned at the top, this isn't really a change in strategy for us. Can you recap for me how it isn't?
Yeah, and I thought both Matt and Sarah did a really nice job of talking about what we're doing on Xbox, where we're going. You know, if you take a platform feature like Xbox Play Anywhere, which has been a promise that we've made on our first party games, that you can buy our game once, you're going to get to play across Xbox and Windows. I think we're the only platform that does this. That makes it possible for you not only to play with your friends wherever they are, but to know that you actually have multiple entitlements to the games. I think that's a technology I'd love to see applied to more platforms. But it is this view that people are going to play Xbox in multiple places. Whether it's play the games you want with the people you want, anywhere you want, whether it's content, community, and cloud, whether it's when everybody plays, we all win. Like, we've had different taglines, different strategy, kind of words that we've used, but always with this view that Xbox is a platform for creators who want to reach the most players. Our investments in xCloud, our investments in franchises like Minecraft and now Call of Duty and other large franchises, so that we learn how to build those. This has been a strategy that we've been on for, I'd say, a decade. It's not about one device. It's not about games in service of a device, but rather the devices that people want to play on should be in service of making the games as big and popular as they possibly could be. Because really, a healthy creator community on Xbox, a healthy creator community in gaming all up, is the thing that all of us as game players should be voting for, because that's the thing that will lead to the best long-term success and growth in this industry.
And my understanding, just from listening and learning from you three over the past few weeks, just understanding what's happening with Xbox, is that we see trends with player behavior where people are playing on multiple devices. That is the reality. And we have put some games out on multiple platforms before. So my understanding is that that's been good for players. How does that come back to the business with all of that in mind?
Yeah, as you said, we have shipped games on other platforms. In fact, realistically, if you look with the addition of Activision and Blizzard and ZeniMax, we're one of the largest game publishers on PlayStation. We're one of the largest publishers on the Nintendo Switch, especially when you put Minecraft into the equation as well. And now we're one of the largest publishers on mobile platforms as well. And that's not something that we want to back away from. We want to continue to be building great games that millions and millions of people can love, and that they can play those games where they want to go play. But we do understand the business success that Xbox has to have. Us as leaders in this business, the system today, the system that all companies that we play video games from, is a world of, you got to be growing your business. Growth in our Xbox business is critical to the long-term health of Xbox. Many people know I've been on Xbox for over 20 years. And I want to make sure Xbox is in the best position for the next 20 years. That means healthy player community, healthy creator community, and healthy business. So when we look at opportunities to allow more people to play, more people engage, more people to buy, more people to subscribe, it's all about putting Xbox in the best position. And our hardware is a critical component of that. The absolute best experience somebody has on Xbox is hardware that your team builds and that people play on. But that's not going to be everybody. We fully accepted that we're going to have Xbox players across all kinds of devices.
So I think a lot of people think about 2023 as this incredible year for gaming. And in a lot of ways it was. There were some really amazing releases that I think we all enjoyed. But what were the signals behind the scenes that maybe indicated how we wanted to look at the future of Xbox and how we kind of keep up with the industry?
Yeah, such a good question. And I think it's, as people who care about the industry, which I assume is people who are watching this, it was an amazing year. Some great launches, some of the games that I think will stand the test of time and people will be talking about a decade from now. But it's an industry that didn't really grow. And what happens when an industry doesn't grow? You end up with some job eliminations, which we had. We had even our own hard decisions to make about building a sustainable business for ourselves, but in no way.
First of all, part of the reason the business didn't grow was because Xbox put exclusive titles like Starfield in a fucking subscription. right? Like, why wasn't that on PlayStation? If you really care about the franchise that you're building, you would have put that on PlayStation. They gave up at least between Indiana Jones and Starfield, it's got to be at least $1 billion in revenue potentially. Between those two games alone. They are losing by not putting this stuff on PlayStation. So it's like, I think part of the reason we didn't see the double-digit growth is because, things like Starfield were not accounted for in all these numbers because they weren't sold packaged goods. They were part of the subscription for Xbox, and they were not on Sony's platforms. So,
and now that Diablo in a couple of weeks or a month is going into that same subscription program, are they foregoing more revenue on Diablo, or is Diablo just not even a factor anymore because it's fallen off a cliff?
Yeah, I mean, from a business decision, like because it's fallen off a cliff, the MAUs are terrible. It's most likely going to help reinvigorate the user base and get more people playing the game. So it's good for the franchise. But the question really is, and what he's not going to answer is, what happens when the expansion comes out later this year?
Yeah,
is that going to be part of
exactly.
the Game Pass? Like that would completely cannibalize all the sales on
Yes.
PC and potentially PlayStation. So it's like, it actually would be really devastating for the business, right?
Would it?
For
Right?
Blizzard's business, I think, if they weren't able to get the unit sales and
Because
it was part of a pass.
Because they just talked about this entitlement system that if you buy it in one device, you get it in the other. So does that hurt the future of Diablo? Well, I mean, I guess is Game Pass is on PC and console, right?
Right.
So that that wasn't how it used to work at Activision, where there used to be sales of PC and sales of to the same human. Now they're saying, oh well, I really have to wonder how much of it is cross. How many players actually do take advantage of that? I'm curious. Do you happen to is that?
No, I actually don't know the stat. I imagine it's not as big as
I imagine
probably
it's not
people
that big.
think.
Like,
what I would say though is that if they're giving away the expansion for free under the Xbox Game Pass, which include PC, that would likely hurt overall sales or dollar
Correct.
revenue associated with that for Blizzard, right?
Correct.
It would make it less appealing. That's the danger of these type of models in general. So, and it should see success. I don't doubt that it'll do well if they do the expansion, by the way. All right, let's continue.
Okay. Oh, sorry, one question. When they say crossplay, Diablo 4 is an example. So it's going to be part of Game Pass. Right now, it's already on PS4, 5. Do you think that crossplay is going to be, you can move your save states between those two? Your PlayStation account versus no. So it's crossplay just between the PC and Xbox.
Yeah, PlayStation won't allow that for now.
Yeah.
With some exceptions like Fortnite, but like for the most part, they're not gonna play nice with Xbox. I'll guarantee you. So
decisions to make about building a sustainable business for ourselves, but in no way were we alone in that. When you think about a healthy industry, I want players who believe that they will find the best games on the platforms that they love. I want people who invest their careers in working here to feel like this is a place that they can be successful. And that really is down to being part of an industry that is growing. If you listen to Lisa Su, the AMD CEO, she'll say that AMD-powered consoles are likely to decline in 2024. I think there's an amazing set of games coming in 2024, but if we don't get to growing as an industry, the industry will struggle. And today there's really two choices on how do you grow the industry. Do you say, I have a fixed number of players, the players that we have today, and do I find new ways to monetize those players to get more money from the players that I have? Or do you think about how do I expand the business I have by finding new players and adding those to the base of players that already play?
Yes,
our focus on Xbox for the last decade has really been on that latter point.
And you
how
failed.
do we make sure Xbox
absolutely
is growing for
this is the thing. It's like you've been doing this for the last decade. You are in the worst position in the history of Xbox right now.
Yeah.
Because of your strategies. Like, this is what drives me insane. Like, he's failed miserably and he's just doubling down on the same stupid strategy.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, it doesn't make sense.
What have they really done to grow the industry for new players
Yeah,
this
yeah.
past year. What, they'd let Harry Potter come out from Warner Brothers? Like in that,
Yeah,
I'm not
what,
even
yeah,
sure.
yeah, what content have they created? What ability for new customers to engage with that content? Like they're doing the subscription is great for the consumer, and I'll give you that. But all the content is the same, and this is what I've been railing about for years now. It's like if you really want to build a strategy, you build a strategy with new content that's more mass market for women, for outside the 18 to 44-year-old
kids.
demographic, which you
Yeah.
own, kids, like, yeah, really supporting like things like Roblox. To the extent they did support Fortnite, which I think will help kind of grow the demo to some degree. But like,
Yeah.
it's like they have all these guys, like legions of people building content, and they're building the same shit, dude. You know what content is not going to expand the demo? It's fucking Starfield,
Shooters.
right? Or
Starfield.
Elder Screw, or Forza, or your shitty Halo, right? Like that's not expanding the demo. That's not expanding the market or growing the market. This is what drives me insane. They are a net deterrent. They are a negative drag on the market with the subscription shit, and they're not adding any value to grow the market. And they're doubling down on a strategy that hasn't worked for the last 10 years. And that's what is driving me insane. And everyone's going to love this guy for it.
So I don't know if you remember, there a couple months ago we were talking, like one of my crazy ideas was to build an old school Nintendo controller and have it Bluetooth into the Xbox to get in all of the retro play, to get moms and their kids in. And so someone heard this, like one of my good buddies who's kind of high up in some of the other companies, and he's like, my wife was in the car and she heard you say this, and she like jumped out of her seat and was like, yes, I would actually get on the Xbox and play if I had a controller like the old school Nintendo controller. And so I was like, first of all, you let your wife listen to our podcast and she's actually interested. Okay, fine. And then second, thank you for telling me that I was right. But like that, at least as crazy as that idea is, that is an idea that lives up to that strategy. That levels. This other stuff, I want to know what the tactics are that deliver to this strategy that he's talking about, because I don't see it.
Yeah. And so historically there was rumors that they were going to partner with Nintendo, and this would be a way of trying to expand the market.
That'd be great.
A subscription service on Xbox that allows you access to old Nintendo content, and vice versa, right? These are the type of moves that would be interesting and valuable and grow the market, as opposed to detract from the market, which is what they're doing now with these crazy subscriptions and pulling product that PlayStation users want badly, right? They're not at the best interest of the player. You know, that's not what they're doing. And so he's just kind of like completely lying every time he says that, because otherwise they would have been day and date with PlayStation with this with Indiana Jones and Starfield, right? If they cared about the player, right? And they cared about the business, right? So they need to find strategies that grow the market and not keep doubling down on things that are detracting from the market.
Yeah. Okay, let's
For our
continue.
players, growing for our creators. So those people are finding success on our platform, which will grow the Xbox business and put Xbox in a position to be very strong for years and decades to come.
Matt, earlier you were talking about these growing gaming communities, how they're incredibly large and comparable on such a different level when we think about console audiences. Like you mentioned Roblox, you mentioned Fortnite. So how are we're obviously thinking about our responsibility, our hardware responsibility is supporting the growth of gaming communities. How has that actually shown up for the players? Are there other games we can speak to from our portfolio?
Well, as Phil mentioned, I mean, two of the biggest ones for us, Call of Duty and Minecraft, I mean, they are driven just from the bottom up by the communities of people that play those games, which is so great. I think about it, for the player community, it comes down to where are the friends, where are the people you play with, and then equally important is where have you built up your library of games, right? Where have you invested? Where's that library? I think those two things probably are some of the biggest influences on where people choose to play and what devices they choose to play.
Yeah.
When we think about, on the other side, the developer side, just any game developer wants their game to find the biggest audience possible. That's just the nature of building a game. You want people to enjoy and participate in what you've made. And I think we're in a unique position to deliver on that just because we are the platform. We build hardware. We've got a first-party games group, and then we've got a system that ties that together, that brings together your friends, your progression, your achievements, all of that. And I think that's really what has contributed to the momentum behind some of these communities.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at, just step back and you look at the history of the industry.
Was that like 3 minutes of him not saying anything?
Yeah, I hate this PR shite that's written to like say nothing for like 20 minutes.
And this is my area of discipline. I would have coached this differently, right? He literally he was like, yeah, we want to make a place where people can play games with their friends. Holy really? I mean, I think this guy, but everything he has said is like, let me just tell you about like what it's like to make a video game.
We've moved from a place where it used to be that someone built and launched a game to accelerate hardware to actually the things we do with our hardware and with our platform are all in service of making those games bigger. And we think about that across all of the investments we make, the consoles we build, the investments we do with things like crossplay, cross progression, the things that we're doing with cloud. How do we actually give more options to game creators so they can have the greatest success? I think one of the fun recent examples about this is actually Power World. Power World was able to launch, they were a game preview, they launched in Game Pass, they also simultaneously launched in Steam. And through the combination of those things, Pocket Pair was able to have this outsized success. Amazing. And it was the large.
Oh, I thought you were commenting. I mean, that makes sense though, right?
Yeah.
Like this is, fair. I'm like, okay, now you're talking.
Largest third-party Game Pass launch ever. And that's all because we give creators options on how they can launch their games. We've got subscription, we've got retail, we've got free to play, we've got game preview, we have the consoles, we have our experience on PC, and they can access all of those things. And when we step back and we just look at the performance of our platform all up, we know it's working. We're at the highest level of users on console, the highest level of users on PC, the highest level of users on cloud ever. We have double-digit growth rate on PC and cloud, places where we're enabling creators to actually reach new players beyond the console ecosystem.
Stop. Double-digit growth means fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. When you're going from 0 to 1, that's double-digit growth. Fuck off with that bullshit. And like Power World, they're probably kicking themselves for doing an exclusive with Xbox.
Oh, absolutely.
Dude, they would have sold a gajillion units and made hundreds of millions of dollars extra, most likely, compared to what they got from Microsoft to finish this game. So
although what I will say is, they didn't know they had a hit though, so they had to do the small company thing, which was okay. I'm going to take. What do you think they paid them? $3 million. Xbox, like, here's $3 million. Finish your game. You're exclusive to us.
Not enough.
Well, now we know, but if that game wasn't a hit, then they would be an amazing spot. I get it.
But the way this woman is characterizing, what's her name?
Sarah Bond.
Sarah Bond.
The way Sarah's characterizing it is not accurate, right? That's not a win for Power World. It's certainly not a win for the developer, and it's just a win. It's a win for the consumer, I guess, and for Xbox.
No, if you're keeping score, that's the right place to put the score marks.
Yes. Okay.
Ever. We have double-digit growth rate on PC and cloud, places where we're enabling creators to actually reach new players beyond the console ecosystem. And that's why we're leaning into it and doing more. Because
that is inaccurate. They are not reaching new players. This is the whole thing. Cloud is reinforcing the same players. And PC. You think PC may be some growth, but it's still gamers like that have been playing on PC. PC's a pain in the ass, It's like they're not reaching new players. That is not true. They know that's not true, right? They know that's not true. So
my question is, it probably goes to how they're counting players, right? Like, so the data I would love to see is to your point, how many of these people already played Xbox? They're like, ooh, bonus. Now I play on PC, and they're like, that's a new player. And it's like, well, no. That's the same player now playing on multiple devices. So number one is I'd love to see that data. Number two is maybe there is some sort of data that says that more kids these days, more people have PC devices that will allow them to play. I doubt it. To your point, I doubt this, but I need to see some data, because my gut tells me it's more of one, which is console players now playing on PC, although we had also admittedly said that that percentage is small. But that, I think, is where they are pointing to the growth.
Right. If they were truly growing the audience, Xbox sales would be through the moon, right? Like they would be matching Sony easily, right? If they're expanding the demographic, they would not be outsold 2-1, right?
I thought it was like 3-1. Like when we
I think it's like 10-1 in Europe, but I think US kind of
US,
equalizes it. But it's probably 3-1. You're probably right. But nonetheless, so that is not happening, and PC is not making up the difference. Like, let me be clear, right? It's just not. So their subscriptions are coming down. Like they're flatlining, right?
Yeah.
I'd be curious on your data point, Jen, to know how many with Pal World, how many new conversions to Game Pass. So people that have an Xbox don't have Game Pass. How much these games are actually contributing to like basically a new subscription for it as well. That's what they want, right? No?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, with how many units? I know we talked 7 million units at one point, like 5 or 6 days in. I bet they're at 10. I mean, I would imagine the new growth came from Steam versus like, I'm going to sign up for Xbox console to play Pal World. I mean, I think I didn't even realize it was on Xbox. Again, as an Xbox fan, I didn't even know that was there.
Yep.
All right, here we go.
See all those signals. Cloud ever. We have double-digit growth rate on PC and cloud, places where we're enabling creators to actually reach new players beyond the console ecosystem. And that's why we're leaning into it and doing more, because we see all those signals.
So we're talking about the role that hardware plays for creators, for the games and those communities. What about the role that hardware plays for us as a business, for Xbox?
When we look at our hardware, it really is, and Phil said this earlier, it's where you get like the most flagship seminal experience of Xbox. And it also represents a developer target. Our developers can build the specs of our hardware, and we invest to make sure they know when they do that the games are going to run great on our hardware, but they're also going to be able to be accessed across any screen because of all the other investments we make. So we're giving them an easy way to access as many players as possible. And we actually have more creators right now building for Xbox than ever before thousands of them by nature of those investments. And we got more to come. There's some exciting stuff coming out in hardware that we're going to share this holiday. And we're also invested in the next generation roadmap. And what we're really focused on there is delivering the largest technical leap you will have ever seen in a hardware generation, which makes it better for players and better for creators and the visions that they're building.
And then when we're talking about hardware too, there's these other considerations that are really important to our community, probably to each one of ourselves as well. When you talk about library, because I want to dig in on that a little bit more. You know, as we talk about cloud in the wider entertainment industry, there's conversations about streaming. How is that impacting how I own my content that I've invested in? So what can we say about our stance around game preservation?
Yeah, one of the highlights for me of being in this position was getting to stand on stage when we announced back compat coming to Xbox One. Like, it was fantastic. People were reading the teleprompter before I could read it. Slow reader, and just feeling the energy in the auditorium as we were saying that and online. One of the cues I think us as being part of Microsoft take is looking at Windows and how Windows over decades has maintained software compatibility with things that are built on it. Like, I can still go back and play some of the games that I love playing on Windows from decades ago, and it will still run. And we try to bring that same view to consoles. It's harder in console because the line between what the hardware is and what the game is in consoles is traditionally, it's tighter, which makes compatibility, you end up doing these generational compatibilities that we've built. But I will say compatibility, the ability to not only play the games, but my saves are still there with our cloud save systems to try to keep the services up as long as we can so that people can play. is a tenet of what we are as Xbox. It's at our
Can you
foundation.
just hit
And when we
pause
look
again,
at future
please?
hardware generations and
Oh.
what we're going to
You always catch me when I'm drinking. Yes.
Dude, this backwards compatibility is a feature on a fucking box. No one does it. No one plays. I talked to Sony. Less than 2% of the people play PlayStation 4 games on their PlayStation 5. Like, it's bullshit. Like, this is like,
agree.
and every time they bring it up, it's more of a fan service to get, the IGN guys, like, happy, make them happy. But it's not a meaningful
Agree.
feature at all. Period. End of sentence. So
It's
I don't know
a
why we
marketing
spend time on this.
It's a marketing bullet point. They must have found through, again, data insights that it's something that people really are worried about. But when you actually get down to, people say they love it and they want it and they're going to make a decision based on it. But when you get down to usage, they don't use it. So this is probably something that research like identified and why they keep harping on it. I mean, again, like these are smart people who put this together. Like this is heavily polished and crafted. So everything they're saying, they put in here for a reason. I just think that for us as people nitpicking this, we're able to see through the comms and the PR, the used car salesman magic that's going into this.
This feels like two things to me. One, it is a wrap up of a very long year of negotiations between the acquisition. So, hey, it's done. Look at all these cool things that are happening now. And then two, they're hyping up. They're trying to get people excited about the upcoming hardware. There's not much else in this. No,
there's still a few minutes left. Let's go. Because I have to go at 1. So
support, making sure that we respect, which is the word I use, respect the investments that people have made in Xbox going forward is fundamental. And the fact that you get entitlements when you buy a game from us on both Windows and Xbox also means you have the ability to play that game across a multitude of devices, which I think furthers the compatibility of the games that you own.
Can we go back to what Xbox stands for today? I think we've pretty much covered all of the elements, but if you could break it down for me.
When you play on Xbox, what we're saying is you're playing on a platform where the biggest games in the world are always going to be. You're playing on a platform where you get to access Game Pass. And all of the games from our incredible range of studios will always launch in Game Pass day one. And you're playing on a platform that's dedicated to you, like player-first features, cross-play, cross-save, cross-progression, backwards compatibility, being able to play your games in your library anywhere you want because of the investments that we make in cloud gaming. And so you're playing somewhere where you're investing and you get to take the games forward with you and across all of the screens where you are. And I think most importantly, Xbox is a place where when you're investing in Xbox, you're investing somewhere that is dedicated to making games more successful and creators more successful so that they can invest more to bring even better experiences to you all of the time.
Yeah, just that investment in the studios is so, and we feel that as part of first party with the platform proximity. It's kind of amazing now to look out across all the studios we've got and just be reminded that we're now one of the biggest development organizations in the industry. What does that mean for players? It means that the biggest games are going to continue to come to Xbox. And this 2024, the year coming up, we've got more than 10 major releases coming up. Great stuff. Hellblade 2. We've got Diablo expansion. We've got Avowed, Ara, the Indiana Jones game. And there's more in development, which I think we're going to be able to share more about at our June showcase coming up pretty soon.
Well, I guess I should get ready to work on that show. Well, thank you all for showing up on the podcast today, and we'll see the rest of you this June.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tina.
Thank you.
This was kind of underwhelming, to be honest.
Oh my God, it was nothing.
I was expecting anything more than this.
They didn't talk about hardware. They said they were going to talk about hardware. Did they say anything about hardware?
The new thing is coming soon. We're super excited about it.
It's going to be the best ever. Didn't they say something?
Best. Oh, new technical new technical whatever it is that you've never seen before. So it was a bit of hype.
Bunch of shite.
Yeah, although her leather jacket is really badass, Laura, right? I'm trying to find something to talk about because there's nothing to freaking talk about in here.
They didn't reveal anything.
Yeah. Okay. Let's. Do you think that this was a reaction? That
Yes.
the plans changed between
Yes.
when this was leaked and this announcement?
This looks like something leaked about the games going to the other platforms, and people were freaking out, and partners must have been calling them freaking out, and they're like, okay, well, we'll jump on the podcast, and while we're there, we'll make sure to say cross-play and cross-save and cloud and backpack. What is
backwards compatible?
But what did he called it? Like backpack. He had like a little phrase for it. It was like shortened. In any event,
like backcom or something. Anyway,
yeah. And then the fact that they reiterated some of those points 3 or 4 times was really weird to me. But I felt like this was an overreaction to the leak about some of the games going. And I think they basically wanted to say it's not Indiana Jones and Starfield going to PS5. Yeah. Everybody, calm down.
Don't
worry. They should have just said that. They should have just did a tweet that said that.
Yeah. We should have made a bingo card for this talk. Put all those like the buzzwords: Game Pass, Pal World, crossplay, and then boop 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 boop.
You know what was weird? Through. They also they kept calling developers creators. Did you notice that? Yeah. And so as a marketer, what's super confusing is creators are influencers. They are the people they are players who take your product and do Twitch streams. And so that's a word we use very differently than they were using. Like I'm used to them saying developers, right? And so I was wondering why they weren't, like, where that was coming from, why they slipped a couple times and said developers. And so I don't know. I just need to know what the difference is in their mind between a creator and a developer. I don't know.
I thought they were talking about Minecraft, like the people that create things in Minecraft.
No, they
so I had a complete different takeaway when they started using the word creators.
Right? Like UGC.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, no, they were using it very purposely as we normally say developer. So yeah, like go back and watch that. As the marketing PR comms person, I have to zero in on the language that they're using, what they choose to reiterate, all 3 of them. Kress, final notes before we...
I mean, it's much to do about nothing. It's basically those 4 games that I already mentioned that are likely coming cross-platform. Unclear as to whether they'll be on PlayStation because I think Sony's going to say fuck off. So they're basically doubling down on a strategy that's not working, and it's very, very disappointing. But I think it'll probably this whole thing will blow over, and it'll be continue as we go. You know?
Yeah. Oh, Diablo in Game Pass on March 28th.
I just don't think that was a surprise, right? I mean, I don't know.
I hope it's not a surprise. I mean, I thought that was like one of the biggest talking points of why they were doing the acquisition of ABK was to get that content into Game Pass and boost Game Pass. So I felt like that was maybe how quickly it happened. I mean, I guess it all closed. When did it close? October? I mean, I guess it's been a little while.
Yeah. And they've had all this time.
All this time.
See, and this is the other thing is that, like, actually the final note I will say is that they've had over a year to not only negotiate this deal, make sure it gets through regulation, but they have other people in their organization creating the strategy around what this deal means. And so this is not like, this stuff is all well thought out, right? It's not like they're not under the gun, you know, like, and so like, I think if they were changing their strategy, we would know by now, you know, but it looks like they're not. They're just doing the same thing they've always done. That's failed them to date. So, you know, we'll see if maybe Call of Duty and Diablo and all the rest of the content makes a difference, but that is again detracting value from the overall industry, and that's part of the risks with subscriptions.
So how does DLC work today in Game Pass? Like, are there like if Starfield has an expansion, how does that work? Because I'm just terrified for. Imagine you're a Diablo business leader or a Call of Duty business leader, and your DLC is coming out, and you're in Game Pass. What happened to your P&L?
Well, that's the problem, is that the Diablo strategy was all
DLC based, right?
DLC. Well, it's season based, but also DLC based. So they're big, like expansions. Every year they're trying to build expansion. So as part of Game Pass, they won't drive direct revenue from that. They will have to be part of the Game Pass. And I would imagine that the number of people that are going to be playing that game is going to be so low that they're not going to recoup the investment that that big team is. And so if I were to guess, I don't think they're going to last past the first expansion.
Yeah.
And that team will be cut back, which I think I've already said in the podcast. So,
yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Well,
it's
this
not
was-
good. It's all bad news, in my opinion. Like, yeah. So,
Well, in any event, this was fun. Thanks for doing a watch party. I'll see how I can upload this somehow since we did it on Zoom. But let's do
Right.
this more often. This is fun. I
All
like
right.
We need
Kress yelling
something
at the
really
screen.
juicy, though. Really juicy.
Well, we thought. Well, I
We
can't
thought this would be
control
juicy.
this week-
Oh, no,
next
no,
time.
sorry. Not a comment on you. More of a comment on the next one, I hope, is like more of
Bring
a
it.
reveal of things. Yeah, bring it on.
All right, guys.
all right. Bye now.
All right, cheers.
See ya.